Okay, everybody, thank you and welcome to our open forum. We call it for prospective students. We should have just called it for people interested in homeopathy. My name's Som Jandu. I'm the president of CPH. I co-run it, I co-own it with the founder, Ellen Kramer. I was a student here on the postgrad course. Then I became a tutor here. And as they say from the Remington days, it was so good I bought the company. So here I am now. So I put my money literally where my faith in the mouth was. And so that's me. I'm very proud to be here. And when we changed the direction of the company, we have a very simple approach, and I want to share that with you. Our mission is to become the global leader in practical homeopathic education. Practical means that you practice it, not just here's a to-do list and a laundry list and just go. It's not protocol based. It makes you think, but practical means hands-on for us. And we want to make learning that homeopathy efficient, effective, affordable, and fun. And our vision is to have homeopaths like you and the practical homeopaths healing patients in every country. That's not always the case because when people come from a different mindset, they're unable to do this. And the more important thing with us is the values. We share our learnings as we learn. We don't save them. We don't bank them. We share them in real time because the knowledge in my head is useless unless it's shared with you guys and vice versa, so we can affect more people. And as we multiply, we amplify. So the benefits of the CPH way of practicing homeopathy is amplified around the world as soon as we share it. Okay. And because of that, we've had an increasing global presence. We're all over the Western world, like we say to say. There are some places that we've yet to expand into, and that changes literally on a week-by-week basis. So we're very humbled by the fact we've had over 4,000 students graduated, treated over, well, nearly 60,000 patients now, and we had over 150, 200 webinars all around the world. Right now, Ellen Kramer, the founder, was going to join us, but she's over in Eastern Europe, in Bulgaria, being honored by our students all across Europe who have taken her to an inaugural dinner there. We've been having students in Europe for the last 20-odd years. We have a franchise out there, and they practice their homeopathy, and they welcomed Ellen over. So she sends her love and her regrets for not being able to join us, but we wish her well. So we do have far-reaching influence other than what we talk about here as well. Because of these things, we've been very humbled and proud at the same time to achieve a number of firsts. We were the first college in the world to provide homeopathic qualifications online, not just training, but an actual professional license qualification. That's what sets us apart as well from other places. People who graduate from us are licensed professionals. It varies country to country, even state by state, but nobody can take that license away. Why don't we call it a degree? Because in the UK, we are a college. And in the UK, colleges cannot award degrees, but diplomas. Only universities can confer the status of a degree. But the education is at degree and master's level. That's the level of the education we provide. So we're very proud of that. And when the internet came, it gave us the opportunity to spread our sharing of knowledge across the world. We're the only ones to be recognized and accredited for practitioners across most of the continents. We're all the only homeopathic school to be accredited by the British Accreditation Council. Now, they don't just check homeopathic schools. They check all types of schools. If you're a lawyer, an accountant, all the vocational colleges, which are not affiliated to a university, they're accredited by them. We're the only one to get that status. So that's the level of learning we've been proud to share. And we've got a newly formed Institute of Homeopathic Accreditation, which accredits colleges. And I'm proud to say that they nominated me as one of the members on that panel to accredit other colleges as well. So as a leading institute, we actually help other colleges raise their game, which does by default put us at the top. So we're humbled and proud of that as well. And we offer year-round courses. There's no intake. There's no term time or semester time. People join us when they're ready, as it suits them, any time of day or night. It truly is a 24-hour college. And this is something else we're going to cover in a few more slides. We're the first to teach holistic homeopathy. And that means we integrate herbs, nutrition, supplements, the flower essences. We learn the observational tools like the Chinese 5 elements and the Ayurvedic chakra system. Many of us are familiar with this with other lifestyles, Reiki, acupuncture, yoga. But to use them to understand what the body is telling us takes to a whole different level. We talk about the bowel notions and how they are a fantastic tool to help us treat people, heal them in places where we get lost and confused. Then we also touch, well, don't touch, we actually practice quite intensively the meditative provings and the matridonal remedies, the gifts of the mother. So there's a lot that we learn in depth. And then you have the standard AMP, what we call APMP, anatomy, physiology, pathology. But then we add to that endocrinology, hormones, neurology, nerves, biochemistry, pharmacology. So I'm proud to say that when our graduates graduate, they can look at other people in other fields of healthcare and say, I can do what you do, but you cannot do what I do. That puts you in a very informed and empowered and confident position. Whether you want to have the world's greatest practice or you just want to treat your husband and children and parents at home, the level to which you have the knowledge is the same. The extent to which you practice it is up to you. So the course content consists of all these fields or subjects. It's a homeopathic qualification. And what we like to say, other people from other disciplines come to study homeopathy with us, but our homeopaths then don't go off and do another course. So as the Americans will say, the buck stops here. That's quite nice. And it completes that journey. And only you have to be in it to know how beautiful that journey is, but it is holistic. So we will bring these other aspects of health, what we call the healing tools, the healing arts, in to empower your patient. Now, as she touched on that, there's 2 courses and there's only 1 qualification. So when our people graduate, they're entitled to have the letters LCPH, which denotes the licentiate from the College of Practical Homeopathy. Proud letters to have after your name. And it's 1 qualification, but there's 2 pathways. The one on the left is a professional training course. It's degree level equivalent. It's over 3 levels, a certificate, diploma, and then a licentiate. And each level is split into 10 modules. That is for people who know nothing about homeopathy. So it brings you up from first principles, laws of cure, anatomy, physiology, and everything else. To bring you up to medical standards, you learn allopathy, what the allopathic treatments are, and then you learn how to treat homeopathically. On the other side, we've got the postgraduate. It's called postgraduate because it's for people who have graduated in another healthcare discipline. Doctors, pharmacists, nurses, Reiki practitioners, acupuncturists, cranial sacral, qualified homeopaths like yourselves. So if you have that basic understanding of the body, you are then eligible for that course. It's that master's degree because it's very intense, it's condensed, it's over 12 modules. We allow 18 months for that. On the other course, people do it in 30 months, 2.5 years. Many people do it sooner. You go at the pace that you can study. So based on your speed of studying and speed of assimilating and absorbing, you can do it anywhere between a year to a year and a half. The other thing we offer that no other college does, if people miss the timeline, life gets in the way, something happens with marriages and jobs and moving houses and catastrophes like what's happening in the southern states, southeast states in America, we allow people to pause their studies if they need to, or they can extend if they're on a momentum, but just going slower by paying an extension fee to keep them enrolled. So there's no deadline and cutoff. Once you're in, we don't like to let you go, and we like to support you through life's ups and downs. And you only have to speak to the other students to see how supportive we are if they need that in dire circumstances. So that's the approach we have because we're in the human business. That's what we do. And we understand that you're adults and you have other aspects to your life. The most important thing in your life isn't just to get through a module. But once you learn it, it becomes very important. As I say to people, becoming a homeopath at CPH is like having a superpower. You can never switch it off, and you always want to help people. That's a great, noble way to approach. Okay. And our course is currently split 60% are postgrads. So we actually are very proud that other people in other disciplines and other homeopaths come here to complete their learning and journey. So we're very proud that we take people who are already what they consider themselves qualified in certain aspects of homeopath, knowledge and practice, and they learn things that they couldn't even imagine. And the other 40% is people who just want to become homeopaths and they go through the complete route, which is the anatomy and physiology. The way we teach here, you may be familiar with this learning pyramid. There's the passive learning. We read books and Zooms, webinars. But the real way we do it is we learn by doing. So the three things on the bottom here, the active learning, we have discussion groups, which you ladies are a part of, practical experience, you take actual cases, not when you graduate, but as you study. That builds up your confidence and competence. You learn one method, you apply it. You learn another method, you apply it. And if you want to have a practice, you already start to build your reputation and get this track record of curing and healing people. So that's a great way to go as soon as you're able. Some people as early as module 2. And then, as Cristin will tell you, that then is further enhanced by becoming a tutor and teaching others. Because then you mark their work, you're refreshing your knowledge, and you're just increasing exponentially the speed at which you practice, increase your knowledge, and assimilate, and then share what you're learning. Because then all your students' cases become yours. So you really ramp up the knowledge of every kind of human that's on the planet and every disease state they present in. And that keeps our tutors at the top of their game. What makes us unique in our approach? We focus on case analysis. We don't do protocol because it's like being a master chef. A master chef doesn't buy a recipe book. They make their own recipes. You give them the ingredients. Your ingredients are the human comes to you. You have all the tools to analyze what got them from wellness to illness by using a timeline. The timeline teaches us the events in their personal life where wellness left their body and manifested as disease. If all we did was look at symptoms, the symptoms are talking to us. So we try not to do symptomatic prescribing, which is just the effects manifesting in the body. And I know a lot of you are from a mindset where that's all you've been taught to do. Look at symptoms, collect them together, and here's your remedy. Sometimes we're told, don't even look at symptoms. We've already done the thinking for you. Here's a protocol. But now homeopathy, as Hahnemann said it, is individualized medicine. You'll say, well, actually, Som, there's 8 billion of us. Are you going to individualize it? My answer to you is, tell me how many snowflakes have ever landed on this earth. Because they're made of H2O, 2 elements. And yet science tells us, even when we go to school under a microscope, no 2 snowflakes form exactly the same. And yet they're made of 2 elements, hydrogen and oxygen. We have more than 2 elements. So imagine the innumerable, infinite ways that disease can manifest in our body. So if I just took a protocol, it's like giving an aspirin for a headache. I'm not doing the human justice. Never mind my own practitioner, my own qualification as a practitioner justice. So it really is individualized when you take the case and say, well, what got you to have this symptom? I'm not treating the symptom. I'm going for the cause. If I have a bad apple, do I treat the apple or do I treat the tree? That's the approach we take. That increases our confidence, and it also lets us meet the patient where they're at and treat them where they're at. So we can only do that if we have more than one method. If all I have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. But if I've got a toolbox of tools that I can use, it doesn't matter how the patient presents. It doesn't matter how they got from A to B, from wellness to illness. I'm well equipped to be able to help them on their journey to restore their own health. That gives me confidence. Sometimes people ask me, Som, do you treat asthma? Do you treat eczema? Do you treat this? Do you treat that? I say, I treat humans. You give me a human being and we will help them. Because we're made from one cell that multiplies into a baby and a human. So we're not compartmentalized at the allopaths. I'm a cardiologist, I'm a nephrologist, gastroenterologist. The human is one, made from one cell. And when we multiply, we amplify. So if we multiply things, the disease itself also gets amplified. So I want to get to the cause where it starts to amplify. It's a different approach. We teach here at CPH, CEO, cause, effects, and obstacle to cure. And we always say, always aim to discover the cause, etiology before symptomology. But our patients don't know this. They come to us, our clients, they come to us with symptoms because conventional medicine teaches us to talk in symptoms. That's okay. And as we see on the left here, disease is the dialogue of the body and the symptoms are the signs. Our job is to listen to that body, not suppress it and say, shut up. So I do not want to get rid of symptoms. Our symptoms are good in so much that they tell me to look somewhere else, like a sign or a mile marker, which tells me I'm on my way, but I'm not there yet. So what can cause a disease to manifest or to take illness away? We call this the 3 T's of disease. This is the way our homeopaths speak. If it's a trauma, acute or long-term, we know we can deal with trauma. Easy. Never been well since. Etiological method. Short-term trauma, acute prescribing, very easy to deal with, very easy. If it's toxicity, that could be environmental, pollutant, occupational, recreational drugs, allopathic drugs, working in a farm with pesticides, all sorts of toxicities, working in a server farm with Wi-Fi's and radiation, working in a gas station. Now that toxicity will come in and affect my organs, my heart, lungs, liver, and kidneys. It will alter the way that they do the body processes. The physiology will change, which then causes a pathology, a disease state. So we need to detox the person, get them back to being them before we treat them as a whole. So that's the method. But if it's not a trauma or a toxin, it has to be a thought. As above, so below. So what we say is in our brain, we have this gray matter that senses the world. It makes us think, what we call mental. In the middle of our brain, we have the pineal gland, hypothalamus, and pituitary, our master glands. They interpret our thoughts and turn them into feelings, emotions. We know this is homeopath because we call that mental emotional. Herring would call it from above, so below, to below. So through our brain, how we think, how we feel, cascades down. These trigger off other hormones, other nervous impulses that go on and affect other organs or body processes or the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system to create disease states or alter our well-being. So therefore, I want to go higher and higher and higher up into the mind to find the cause. They're the three thoughts. But if I'm not doing that, I'm not really practicing homeopathy the way it for the future. I'm practicing homeopathy from the past. And remember this, that the old masters and greats of homeopathy were actually allopathic doctors who learned Newtonian physics, matter, positive, negative, which is why they were scared of potencies. Don't put a pill here. We do a Mythbuster session at CPH. Don't have it with coffee. Don't brush your teeth. There's too many don'ts. It's just energy. I don't have to sit in my room if I'm watching CNN on my satellite TV and not brush my teeth. It's just a frequency. So this energy medicine that we're in, this is why we succuss. We take the crude matter out. So all that's left is this universal life-giving energy. And when we repertoire and we find the collection of causative things that have manifested disease, that collection creates a vibrational frequency, which I have to match with a remedy to match my patient at the same frequency because like cures like. That's how homeopathy works in a very simple process. Then once we know what the cause is, now this is taken from Helen Kramer's book, Methods in Homeopathic Prescribing. If you don't have the book, no matter where you are in the world, no matter what course you're doing, I highly suggest you buy this book, Methods of Homeopathic Prescribing by Helen Kramer. And this is a flowchart which guides us to the right method to use. Now we can see on the right-hand side, treating the patient as a whole, we all know what classical homeopathy is. We also know what totality is, the totality of symptoms. But if that's all I know, I'm missing a whole world of homeopathy. On the left-hand side, we have what's called part-patient methods. They treat the patient in parts or the parts of the patient that are not yet functioning correctly in order to get them to a whole where I can treat them completely. So that's 15 methods, and there's many, many others in the world. We don't include them here because, quite frankly, for us, they don't make sense, they don't work all the time, so we don't include them in our course. Everybody wants to create a different type of method to make themselves famous. We don't care. We only want to use what helps our patients. That's the end result. The patient gets better. So what does practical homeopathy mean? What do you need to do to help your patient on their journey towards health? Is it a single remedy? Is it a combination remedy? Does it supplement it with herbs and vitamins and minerals? If so, do it. Because the end result is that the client gets better on their journey. So it's a truly empowering course. That's my presentation. So hopefully I'm going to come off the screen now. We can have an open forum with Q&A and delve into some of these a little bit deeper. Okay? Anybody got any questions straight away? Thank you for listening for the last 10 minutes.
So I did receive some questions ahead of time. Some of them were concerned about, I know that anybody who's been through APH can go through the postgraduate program. But I think there's been some trepidation if they feel qualified, because if they don't do the full 3-year program, like what if they enter into it and they don't feel like they can totally grasp or feel prepared for that full program. So can you speak to that?
Yes, I can. That's a very individual approach, and I'll tell you why. If you're already a homeopath from whatever college or course you've done, you will be eligible for the postgrad because of people who have graduated, okay? That does not mean you will know more or be better than someone on the complete course, the 3-level course. But some students are happy to research and fill in their gaps separately and say, go, I'm going to research this anatomy and physiology. I'll give you an example. We often talk about the adrenal glands and how they're pretty much one of the most important glands in the entire body system of manifesting disease, whether it's osteoporosis, menopause, whether it's blood pressure, whether it's diabetes or whatever. But then if I say to someone, talk to me about the renin, angiotensin, aldosterone system, the RAS system, someone who's done A&P can say, yeah, I understand it. Other people might have to Google it and look it up or go onto YouTube. That's not a problem. The people on the 3-level course will learn it. So we will help you fill in your gaps if you need us to. And I do it with my students, the ones I tutor directly. I say, right, I want you to look at this in your own time, and then we'll have a discussion about it. So, because I don't want to halt their progress, I don't want to feel they have a gap, but I will direct them and say, go and look this up, or tell me about the cortisol effect on glucose, or tell me what the anterior pituitary, the hormones it releases. And they go, wow. And everyone has this aha and wow moment. Other students are like, no, I don't like that kind of learning. I want to learn it from first principles. And they choose to go on the 3-level course. Some students say, I want to feel I've had learnt everything and extracted everything from CPH, so I'm going to do the full course. You can do. I've had last year alone 4 people switch from the postgrad to that because they said, I don't feel I'm learning it as completely as I want to. So that's an individual discussion you'll have. If you doubt it, I'm going to show you back on this slide again. My contact details are here. Beg your pardon. Let's try that again. Please write this down. Reach out to me. I promise I'm approachable. My email's on the bottom. Cannot see it. There it is. You can contact me directly, som@thecph.co.uk, or you can shoot off an email to admin@thecph.co.uk. I'll also share with you my number. Actually, you can share that separately on the group that you've got with people, okay? So if you wish to reach out to me, actually, I'll share it here. If you wish to reach out to me, it's +44 7 881 881 283. So that's +44, the international code for UK, 7 881 881 283. Feel free to reach out to me via WhatsApp, Signal, Skype, whichever format you need. I'm around, and I can answer your questions directly if you have a personal, specific question that you want to call me and speak to me directly about. But I would suggest that the majority of you, if you wish to enroll, the PG Dots course will be the one for you because you'll easily fill in the gaps. I don't see you needing to go through a 30-module course to get there, because us and our tutors will get you there quicker. My job is to support our tutors to help you get there as well. And as you listen to our cases, and when I talk about a disease state, I might talk about menopause, and I might say, well, menopause is puberty in reverse. What do I mean by that? Because if I'm a young woman and I'm about to start my menses, up until then, my adrenal glands are providing all my hormones in my body. A little bit of testosterone, 3%, estrogen, progesterone, calcitonin, calcitrol, everything's being regulated nicely. Then a trigger comes off and says, right, now I need to start releasing an ovary, an egg from my ovaries. So the follicle stimulating hormone in my brain will cascade down, and so will gonadotropin releasing hormone. That will send off my secondary sexual characteristics where my hips will widen, my breasts will develop, and then my ovaries will start to release an egg. Then the adrenals say, okay, I don't need to do this anymore because the other sex organs are working. Prolactin will be released. Oxytocin will be released. Luteinizing hormone will be released. That will help my uterus thicken and get ready to make a baby. So the adrenals say, okay, great. We don't have to do this. We can deal with the stresses of life, because being a teenager in this world with social media, FOMO, fear of missing out, body image, body shaming, gender identity, Never mind boyfriends, girlfriends, college stress, exams, leaving home, marriage, mortgage, job. The adrenals are going to have enough on their plate for the next 40 years. So they're like, okay, uterus, okay, ovaries, you take it. That's how important the adrenals are in the female cycle. But then at the end of the fertilization period of a woman's life, the ovaries and uterus say to the adrenals, we're retired now, we're done. So back to you for all the hormones. And the adrenals say, you got to be kidding me. I'm middle-aged. I've got all this nonsense going on in my life. Husband, 1, 2, 5, 12, 13 children, a farm, chickens, cattle, this, mortgage, husband, elderly parents. Now I'm dealing with my body that's not doing as it's doing anymore. My body's not the same. I can't recognize myself. And they're having this argument. It's like a hot potato. And the ovaries and uterus say, no, you have all these hormones. The adrenals saying, we're maxed out. You have it back. So this toing and froing is the hot flushes, the rage, the mood swings. So until my adrenals are supported, they're already fatigued. They're shot to pieces for 30, 40 years of this. And they're like, we're beat, we're done, which leads to adrenal fatigue. So if I do not support these adrenal glands, then I might have a bit of diabetes coming along the way because I'm so fatigued, so stressed, my cortisol is pumping glucose into my bloodstream. It's making my liver dump all the glucose into my bloodstream. So no matter what happens, every time I take a blood test, I'm pre-diabetic or I've got diabetes. And yet I'm slim because I've burnt off all my energy worrying and stressing of life. But my diabetes is high. That's the cortisol effect on diabetes. So now we've done a bit of endocrinology. We've done some physiology, how the body works. So how do we balance that? We balance it with a method called the organ support method, which helps to support the adrenals. And we may have remedies like adrenaline. We may have the sarcode method, which is the adrenal gland back in potency to remind it how to work correctly. But in the adrenal cortex is something called cortisol, the major stress hormone, the anti-inflammatory. But if I've also asthmatic or I've had an immunosuppressant condition and I'm taking steroids or I've got eczema, I'm suppressing my body's natural cortisol. Then I end up with things like topical steroid withdrawal, skin issues, and my adrenals still not working just by going through life. Then I have to, on top of that, deal with all the female hormones if I need to, or if it's a man, with the male menopause. Because then when the testosterone slows down from the gonads, the adrenals have to take over, which is what's also called the male menopause. So that's how important the adrenal organs are in a lot of physiological processes. When we're stressed, the fight or flight adrenaline is our natural aconite. Had a fight, take aconite. Natural fight or flight from our limbic brain straight down into the adrenal glands, released by corticotropin releasing hormone, CRH, to adrenocorticotropin, ACTH, which tells the adrenals to release cortisol and adrenaline to make us fight or flight. That raises my heart rate. That causes vasoconstriction, so the blood can rush through quicker, which causes high blood pressure. So are you telling me, Som, that high blood pressure can be treated effectively by dealing with the adrenal glands? Yes, I am. Why? Because they also release something called aldosterone, which causes the kidneys to reabsorb or to deplete the minerals that we need: sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium. Which is why NAPMEO is a key remedy for high blood pressure, but so is calc carb. Some people have medication called calcium channel blockers in the allopathic world. So we understand the allopathic approach, the physiologic approach, and we say, hang on, I can give NAPMEO calc carb. Yes, which is why a lot of homeopaths say calc carbs drive heart attacks. Because when you're not absorbing the calcium or you have too much, it blocks up the calcium channels, causes constriction in the heart or angina, and you have a heart attack. You balance it with calc carb, which calms the adrenals down, which enables the kidneys to function properly, and all is well. I've probably gone way too deep here, and probably too quickly. But imagine being able to talk homeopathy at this level in this way, where you can sit with a cardiologist, a renal physician, and know their game, but you know your game. Because you know the emotions that are linked, you know the body processes that it causes, and you know homeopathically how you can rep for it. And if you're going to rep for someone like that, we will use a repertory. We use Murphy's here. Murphy's a fantastic genius in compiling our materia medica and repertories, okay? And we'll use things like mind full of cares, mind full of worries, mind responsible ailments from. So 3 or 4 big rubrics, big juicy rubrics with scores of 3s and 4. And they'll come up with carcinosin and calc carb. as your main remedies. You're like, oh, wow. We have a phrase here at CPH. We go, if you do the rep work, the rep will do the work. Try not to be a walking materia medica. That's a textbook. It cost me $100. I'm worth way more than $100. Do what a book cannot do, which is think and find the rubrics, and that will lead us to the right remedy for that particular case. Then we have a combo here called the CPH adrenal combo, which contains adrenaline, histamine, cortisone, calc carb, zinc, and selenium, and caliphos. Caliphos, potassium phosphate, two of the greatest remedies for the brain and nerves. Phosphorus is a major polycrest remedy. Why do we add zinc and selenium? Zinc and selenium are needed for our immune system. So this is why they say if you stress, your immune system goes low and you get an illness. Because when you're stressed, you don't reabsorb zinc and selenium. They make your IgG, your immunoglobulins. They also help as catalysts and cofactors in our sex hormones to regulate our periods and our cycles and for spermatogenesis in men. They also help us make thyroid hormone, thyroxine, T3, triiodothyronine, which means I need 3 iodines. So a lot of people say I need iodized salt for thyroid, but I also need calc carb. So all the body systems are interrelated. But then if I give these combos, I give these remedies, I see they work on multiple facets. I'm going to stop there because there's only one question, Ashley. Another thing, when we add in the Ayurvedic chakra system, many of you will be familiar with that from yoga, the base chakra, the root chakra, and the throat chakra. The base chakra is where our sex glands are, and our throat chakra are linked. The reason they're linked because the throat needs calcium. The thyroid and parathyroid regulate calcium by means of a hormone called calcitonin. It adjusts the tone of calcium in the bloodstream. The kidneys also regulate calcium by absorbing, reabsorbing, or excreting calcium. So when the two are out of sync and we have low calcium, we get thyroid issues. Then I don't have the zinc and selenium as our cofactor to make my T3. And the doctors give us synthetic thyroxine. We can easily treat that with the right remedies. It's not always calc carb. It might be thyroidinum, but that's the effect. But what's the cause of it? You go back to the cause, you'll find the right remedy. We then supplement that with things like bladderwrack, fucus vesiculosis, and lots of other things, sea kelp. You can also add in iodized salt or Himalayan salt. Himalayan salt is rich in 82 minerals. Now, I want to talk about Himalayan salt. This is the approach, the way I'm talking, this is the way we speak at CPH, the way we bring everything into understand. Now, I want to talk about salt for a second. It's just come to me, Ashley. We haven't spoken about this at CPH, so we're learning it right here, right now. So you guys are getting this before the CPH people do. Salt, sea salt, kosher, what's the other type? Iodized, okay? Iodized is when they add it back in. But salt, Celtic, thank you, Celtic. These are the salts, okay? Now, salt comes from the sea, but it's what's left over when we evaporate the sea, isn't it? You boil the sea, you get salt crystals left. You boil water in the kettle, it furs up, right? And that's salt. So the thing that evaporates out of the ocean is H2O. So salt is, now I'm going to say this for impact. Salt is the essence of the ocean in one crystal. That's very powerful. It's the essence of the entire ocean in one crystal. It's crystallized ocean power. Everything in the sea. Or if it's Himalayan, it's from the Himalayas, fresh water, right? So then we give us salt back. We are 2/3 water. So that reconstitutes, reassimilates, and replenishes our entire body and body systems with all the minerals in the right balance that nature intended. If I don't believe in spirituality and I say we came from fish from the sea, even more so, we need the sea salt back, okay? If we take the Darwinian theory of evolution. So now we understand so far. If we know basic cell biology, in my cell, I have something called cytoplasm. Plasm is the liquid left when you take the blood cells out, plasma. So cytoplasm is the liquid inside my cells. So my cellular liquid is the exact constitutional as seawater, which I replenish by having salt crystals back in my body. The way we make that is Himalayan Soleil. Soleil means put it back in. Many of you are familiar with this, right? So that's the exact ratio, the exact constituent of our actual cellular matrix. So we nourish the body at a cellular level with Himalayan Soleil. If we do that physically, I've got mine here, I don't even need my 10, 12 tissue salts to do it energetically. So the first thing that we cannot survive without water, now we understand the importance of water and the importance of all the minerals, all the 82, of which the greatest component is sodium chloride. Then all the other minerals in the right order, in the right ratio as nature intended. So there's no imbalance. So now we're thinking actually Himalayan Soleil is so important. And the number of cases of arthritis and osteoporosis I've helped reverse, and people with bone density issues when they have them on a DEXA scan, I say remineralize, remineralize. If our teeth are decaying, we don't have minerals, remineralize. Then I'll share something else with you. We should all know this. Many of you guys in the USA have great pieces of land and agriculture and acres. Plants, soil only contains mineral. It does not contain vitamins. Isn't that amazing? Mineral-rich soil. Plants suck up the minerals, and with the process of photosynthesis, they convert and create vitamins. So we eat plants for vitamins and minerals, but soil does not contain vitamins. Never has, never will, unless you're a farmer and you add vitamins into the soil and turn it over with modern agriculture. You don't need to. Plants do it all. So when we try and support the body, we give minerals first. Vitamins cannot work with the absence of minerals, but minerals can work with the absence of vitamins. So it's back to Soleil, back to vitamins. So we have, the way I've shared this is how we take every aspect of healthcare, from adrenals to menopause, to blood pressure, to remedies, to salt, to minerals, to supplements in this little way. This is our approach to integrate it all in. So we understand the body holistically of what it does. Sorry, Ashley, I know it's just one question here, but if I get into one, I'm going to get into one. But hopefully you understand that this is the approach we have. So when we speak with our humans, our patients, our clients, we understand that if they're deficient, and then we'll say the remedy is energetic information, it's vibrational information, because we are vibrational beings in a human body, which is why we call human being. I'm being human. When I die, ashes to ashes, I get buried or cremated, so I go back and nourish the earth, which then feeds other plants. All that's left is by my vibrational source. So when my body is off course, little somism for you. Illness manifests when the vital force has gone off course. Put the force on track and bring the healing back. Okay? So if the vibrational force has gone off, I need another vibrational to remind it to get it back in sync. This is why we use remedies. And that's why remedies work better than any other form of medicine in the world. To me, homeopathy sits at the top of the tree. Not because I'm a homeopath. I'm also a clinical pharmacologist with 30 years experience and a biochemist. So I've done all that allopathic science as well. And I worked in the cancer departments at the Leicester Hospital here, the Rural Infirmary. Okay, so I've done the allopathic side. I've seen its failings, which led me on this journey to discover the systems of medicine. So the vital force has gone off course. So we give the energetic information on how to rectify itself. So that, I call it, that's the recipe. Here's how you make this. Here's how you make a healthy human. But then the body says, now I need the ingredients. That is food, supplement, nutrition, vitamins, minerals, herbs. Without the ingredients, I can't make the recipe. If I've got the ingredients and no recipe, I don't know how to make anything. So you need the two together. Which is why sometimes people say, I've given all the right remedies, I've repped it. I've even spoke to an expert who's told me this is the remedy. The patient is not getting better. First of all, are they getting the ingredients in, the tools to restore themselves to health at a cellular level? Because energetic information is asking the body to heal. Then we've got to equip it to heal. If I do the asking without the equipping, nothing's going to happen. If I'm all ready to go, but I don't know which way I'm going, I'm all equipped with no direction. So the body's a mess. So that's the holistic homeopathic approach. So if I do one without the other, I'm not doing justice to my client, and I'm an ineffective homeopath. Does that make sense? I know I went off on question one there, Ashley, but I thought it was so important that I want to give the ladies a taste of how we do things here. how we bring things together, and how when they do it, this is what we call mastery of homeopathy. That you take any subject, explain it in depth, bring it right back to principles, and go, here you go, here's your nat mule, here's your calc carb, here's your adrenal combo.
Yeah,
And the
I think,
80%, sorry, go ahead. Sorry, I'll
no, I
stop.
think that's fantastic. Like,
Everyone's
you're
stunned
getting
and
a
either
sense of
bored or
why
whoosh.
we get it like mental overload, like because it's so much information, right? Like it's so different. So then the way we're used to kind of processing things and learning. So some just like on a practical school level,
Yes.
can we go back to like kind of what learning looks like, how are the classes set up?
Yes.
And just kind of go like, what are all the resources that we have available to us within the school? Just kind of go into those kind of
Yes.
levels so that they understand like the difference in how CPH is set up.
Yes. Thank you all for listening to that. I know it's quite deep, but that gives you a taste of what you can expect at the other end of the course. So thank you for bearing. I'm not going to do that again now, for any other subject. So yes, there are two courses. The modules are delivered online, so you download and read at your leisure. They're supplemented with some audios. You're assigned a personal tutor to guide you every step of the way. And we have Cristin online, who is also a tutor. She can tell you the student experience and the tutor experience, okay? And you progress by ways of assignments. So after every module, you do an assignment. There is no exam. There's no memory test. There's no scores. Did I get 70% or whatever? We don't do that stuff. The only score is patients getting better. But every module after the first one, and the first module for both courses is called Hunt the Rubrics. We need you to start thinking rubrics, not symptoms. Oh, I've had a hard time. I've lost my job. Ailments from fear, ailments from failure, worried about money, etc., etc. We start this cascade of thinking. If you can think rubrics, you're already ahead of the game. So that's the first. Then after that, every module will have a different method. We teach the method, then we give you a case study to apply it to. So that's how you progress, case after case after case after case. And we will ask you, what needs curing? Can you cure it now? Are there obstacles in the way? Organs that don't work? Supplements that are needed to feed the body? And if you're going to use a remedy, how are you going to repertoire? And which method are you going to use? So every module builds on the method. That's how they learn. And then after you submit your assignments to your tutor, you then get a 1-hour one-to-one tutorial after each module, just focused on your learning needs. It may be questions you have generally, it may be about the module, or it may be something on a case you've already taken and you want guidance on. So that's one-to-one. You have all your tutors as a pool. You have Ellen and myself also that we're reachable. And you can tell right now how approachable we are. We're on the other end of a phone, literally. You have a global group called Ohana. That's on WhatsApp, where you can reach students 24 hours a day. So if there's an emergency in the middle of the night, people in the Asia Pacific, they're already awake. Okay. So in any time zone, and imagine the empowerment you get and the support you get. And 99% are all females, all middle-aged. I mean, by that, I mean over 30, all the way up to 88, I think is our oldest student. So they've all had children, they've all got hubbies and parents. So everything under the sun that you're going to experience, your own global family will be able to help you in any time, day or night. Imagine that alone as a support group. We are all part of that group. You have a USA group called Free Thinkers that once you're in, you're a part of that study group on your own time zones there. So you have lots of ways to share, but we are parts of that group. So we will come in if we feel we need to either guide or add in if we feel something is really severely missing. Okay. Because sometimes people revert to type. Sometimes fear takes over and we start symptom chasing. So we need people to steady us, to stay the course, to take us at a deeper level. Okay. So that's the support. Then we have every couple of weeks, we have these Zoom meetings. We had one yesterday where the whole population will present their cases and we'll go in depth, we'll analyze, we'll repertoire, and then we'll put a prescription together. Then they're saved and shared to the exclusive group of the CPH family for viewing later, so they can study again at their own leisure. And so much in-depth learning is done. So you're always having a clinic, a tuition, a group chat, or something that's taking your knowledge further and further, literally every day if you want it. Every day is a school day. We have monthly clinics in London live. I'm going to the one next week where our students taking proper patients who come in through our clinic manager, and they sit there live. They learn how to take a case within the hour, and they come into a main room and we supervise them right there and then. Then they go into the next room, make the remedies, and send the patient home with a prescription. And we do use remedy machines, so don't worry about that. If you say, I don't use a remedy machine, stop using your cell phone. That's energy. We are talking to each other here through an energetic medium going through the world. NASA communicates with us, for those of you in Texas, by all these radio waves through the other side of the world, the other side of the universe, and gives us images from galaxies billions of years old. And they transmit across the Earth, and we get a signal. Yeah, I go to Montana or I go to a mountain somewhere, the Rocky Mountains, I don't get a signal. Interesting, isn't it? So we're in the realms of energetic quantum medicine. Many people have a fear of remedy makers. I know one of your tutors at a certain college says she doesn't like them. That's okay. Each to their own. If that was me, I'd go to an AT&T and phone you, or from kind of bell kind of use a landline. We're in the energetic medium. When the old homeopaths succussed, they took the energy and kept the energy and took the physical matter out. So there's nothing left but a vibration. If you want to delve into that further, buy a book called The Hidden Messages in Water by Matsuro Emoto. Many of you are probably aware of it anyway. Or just Google it or YouTube it, or watch a film called What the Bleep Do We Know? And it takes you into this whole realm. You don't need to understand it, but we're using it. We're using energy. So that's how we work. That's the support we give. Ashley, I'm going to stop. Hopefully that's answered that question.
No, that's fantastic. And I'll add too that within our free thinkers group, that is all North American, the North American group, is that we also meet 2 times a month in addition to the UK clinics. And one week is just asking questions like, are you stuck on a case? Do you have questions about your modules? Do you have questions about remedies? Do you have like anything? Like there's no holds barred. Like it's really helpful, just a safe place to be able to come and ask your questions. And then the second week a month is people can sign up to present cases that they're stuck on or want more input on. So there's so many levels. So you have your tutor, you've got the clinics, like some is about twice a month, the UK clinics, right? Yeah, that you can join in on. And if you can't miss them, or if you miss them, you can catch the recordings. And then within the UK or the North American group, there's 2 live meetings, and then you get those recordings as well. So there's so many resources of learning. So I think that's part of why I feel like I'm constantly listening to stuff in the car, or why I'm getting ready in the morning or whatever, where I'm constantly listening to teachings and recordings. And so it's kind of like you can dive in as much as you want to. So yeah, it's amazing. Like, and I love like being able, Som's my tutor. And so being able like to be able to pick his brain, and he can encourage me in all my crazy thoughts, and I'm going all over the place, and he helps bring me back into the center. But it's just nice to be able to ask direct questions from someone who's further along down the road from you. But then beyond your tutor, you have this other community to be able to do that. So, okay. So I am just going to ask, does anybody else have any questions? I know we've covered a lot of information. So I have some other follow-up questions, but I want to give an opportunity for you guys to be able to ask if you have anything specific you want to learn about. All right, Kelly Zignago. How do you say it?
Yep. Zignago. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Hello. Okay, so to your point about getting to the root cause of something, that's very attractive to somebody here who were, for the most part, untrusting of, distrustful of doctors. And so, or just as a mother of many, it's okay, I've got to get to the bottom of this right now. I'm not going to run you in to the emergency room for something that is just a sore throat. So it's very attractive to us to want to diagnose. However, professionally in America, we must be very, very, very careful to completely avoid diagnosing. And even the naturopaths are beginning to be shut down for either posing as educators without a teaching license, or for diagnosing without a medical license. And so, unfortunately, even a certificate or a license from you doesn't cover us in America. And so I'm just kind of wondering how to put this in the form of question. we've stuck with Joette because she's just giving us a method that, yes, we can bring to the public in a way that using protocols and somebody else's diagnosis, we can treat. However, the present and the future is the reality of is we cannot diagnose whether we have the aptitude or not. It's not legally possible for us to diagnose.
Thank you, Kelly. I'll answer that quite easily for you. Homeopathy doesn't diagnose any allopathic disease. Let's be clear on this, okay? So what the allopaths call Hashimoto's, we don't care about that. And the way I say it to my clients, because the other thing with the Americans is you cannot call them patients unless you're a medical doctor or a DC. NASH will restrict that, okay? So you call them clients. And you say, we can help you with your condition. We can help you with health. We can't treat or cure. I know the limitations there. That's okay. That's words, and it varies state by state. You say the letters don't mean much. Well, here's something for you to understand. Our qualification is valid in 150 countries. So you can go online and treat anyone in the world, should you so desire, if you wish to desire. If you just want to treat your family and friends locally, not a problem. And you help them. You can use the words help. NASH is very clear. Don't use the words treat. Don't use the words cure. Don't call them a patient. And don't give a diagnosis. Okay, they come with the diagnosis. I have asthma. Okay, so I'm going to say, tell me what your asthma is. Som, don't you know what asthma is? I do. What is your asthma? Well, when I go out and play sports, I get breathless. I've got a route. I can, the App Store, they had that phrase years ago. They go, there's an app for that, right? So what do we say as homeopath? There's a rubric for that. So I need to ask my client the right kind of questions that I can then repertorize for. So asthma is an effect. We call it CEO. Cause, effects, and if there's any obstacles. And sometimes an obstacle is an inhaler I'm taking because it's blocking me. We won't talk about obstacles right now. So you come and say, Som, I need help with my asthma. And I'll say, what does your asthma look like to you? Well, when I go out and the cold gets my chest, I go, can't breathe. That's easy. Aconite. I get asthma on strenuous exercise, climbing the stairs, or just walking a few steps. That's calicarbonicum. That's or ammonium carbonicum. So easy. Different remedies, different causes, the same name by doctors, asthma. Same with eczema. I've got eczema. And sometimes if you're a half decent homeopath, and I say that being a little bit cocky now, you might say, is it red eczema? Is it weeping eczema? Is it dry eczema? So we can funnel it down, can't we, right? To the doctor, it's just eczema. If it's weeping, oozing eczema, crusty behind the ears, that's graphitis. If it's red and inflamed, we might say it's sulfur, etc., etc. But if it's red and I've got to itch it, that's arsenicum. So it's not an eczema remedy, but that's one cause. But what caused it? Well, when I was this years old, I've got psoriasis. But I'm just giving an example. What happened? I was riding my bike when I was 7. I fell on my elbow and I hit the floor and I was scared. So fright, fear, worry, anxiety. It started on my elbow and now it's gone all over my back. Okay, so the cause was when you were 7. I'm now 30 and I'm going to get married and I'm going to go on honeymoon and I'm paranoid about my body in a year's time. Okay, let's go and treat the cause. Ailments from never been well. Boom. That might be carb, it might be aconite, it might be arnica to shock the body, which caused that, never been well since. So I'm not treating eczema. I'm treating that cause, but I don't give it a name eczema. So this is why we take a case. You're coming to me with a diagnosis that your doctor's given. Sometimes you're going to get clients who say, I'm 60 years old, I'm 70 years old. Why are you seeing me for? I don't know. I just don't feel right. They don't even have a diagnosis. But I've had grief. My dad died in the war. I've had all the responsibilities, had to be the man of the house, 7 siblings. Then I got married. Then I became the breadwinner. My wife was a stay-at-home mom. Ailments from responsibility all their life. But they don't know, there's no illness, but other things happened and went wrong in the body. Maybe I'm peeing at nighttime. I cannot sleep. I'm restless. My mind's full of worries about my grandchildren. I'm worried that if I die before my wife, is she going to be looked after? And now I can't sleep, so I've got insomnia. I can treat every single one of them as a rubric. I don't care about the diagnosis. Does that answer that question, Kelly? Just nod if you're muted. So we don't say, so I know I've seen homeopaths in other countries. They have a list of allopathic diagnoses that they treat. You're not allowed to do it in the States. You just say, if you're a human, let's talk, which is why it's called a consultation. We don't do diagnosis in the allopathic meaning of the word. We look at a human and say, I want to take your timeline, as I said it and I said it again, to find out Which instances in your life took wellness away to manifest the illness that you have given a name to? Does that make sense? So that's why the timeline is so essential. So when homeopaths say I'm a homeopath, I don't take a case. Okay. But I collect symptoms, totality, mentality, collect a bunch of symptoms. Which are the main symptoms? Which are symptoms caused from other symptoms? Which are symptoms caused by a drug? Because if you put them all together, there's no order. It's disordered. Mishmash, as I call it. Then if I'm given a protocol, we're familiar with the Banerjees, we have Narayanis, we have all sorts of things that stop me thinking. We have acute prescribing. You said you've got children, they fall over. That's easy to treat. Trap my fingers in a car door, Staphylococcus aureus, arnica, hypericum, etc. Step on a fork in the garden, let them. We know this stuff, right? It's the easy stuff. So acute prescribing is baby stuff. Real homeopathic medicine is treating actual chronic conditions without giving them a name. Allopaths love to give names, right? I have this thing at meeting teachers. We had one in Minnesota and Norfolk when I was there this year. And I call it silly names. I don't wish to insult the allopaths. I'm from an allopathic background. My friends hate me. But they have people like pandas and pots and all sorts of stuff. Postural hypertension, yada, yada. And I say, tell me in plain English and tell me like I'm 5 years old. When I get up, I get hypotension. So you get postural hypertension. Okay, then don't get up first thing. Break things down. Meniere's disease. We had it on the case last night. Meniere's, I said it's just a disease of the ear. Meniere in the ear. Boom. So I've got some vestibular apparatus issues going on, but it's in my ears. But if I apply the Chinese 5 elements, I know that the emotional fear opens through the ears. And fear is governed by the adrenals and the kidneys and the gallbladder and the bladder. Because if I'm scared as a child, I wet the bed. I pee myself. So fear governs my bladder, my genitourinary organs, and my kidneys, which obviously filter urine out, but it opens through my ears. So when I've had a COVID injection and I've got tinnitus and ear issues, that's exacerbated my psychotic miasm, triggered my fear. I wouldn't have had the injection because I was fearful or bullied if it was work. And now it's manifested through my ears and I've got ear issues. We see it all the time. So when you understand the body this way, I'm not treating a diagnosis. I'm understanding the way the body works, interacts. So we don't mention names. I've got an issue with asthma. Okay, come and talk to me. We'll find out all the things that led you to get this. We'll find out and learn what remedies you're on, what drugs you might be on, and then we'll help you on your journey. Because on the same time, hey, yes.
Can I jump in and add
Yes,
to what
please.
you're saying from an American perspective?
Yes.
We are very limited in America with what we're allowed to do, and meeting with an attorney and getting my business set up. The idea that what we're allowed to do as homeopaths, and it is state dependent, but in Texas, I can call myself a homeopath because there is no legal description for a homeopath in the state of Texas. I'm an unlicensed practitioner, but what I'm allowed to do is really what CPH teaches us, which is support body systems. So I can't say I'm going to cure your asthma. I can say I'm going to support your kidneys. I'm going to give you a remedy to help support your lungs. So as Som is talking about, we're looking at these Chinese 5 elements, right? If your kidney is weak, then you're going to have issues possibly with your teeth, with your ears. Look at these Chinese 5 elements that we talk about. And so then as a homeopath in America, I'm not going to cure your ear infection or your, whatever the skin. I'm going to give you something to help support that whatever body system, whether it's the adrenals, the lungs, the kidneys, which is not a lie, because that's exactly what CPH is teaching us to do. It's teaching us to get to the root cause, which ultimately is looking at that body system and supporting it to get the vital force back on track, to support whatever that body system or that organ is that is weak and is not functioning properly. And I'm giving you something to support that. And in the meantime, it's going to treat the symptoms. So I just wanted to add that in there from an American perspective, Som.
Thank you. You've said it better than I could, so I'm very grateful for that. I'm just going to build on your asthma thing. So if we say asthma affects our lungs, and someone says, I've had asthma for 20 years. Okay, what happened 20 years ago? My dad died. So we know the grief caused the asthma. I'm not treating the asthma, I'm treating ailments from grief. ailment from death of a loved ones, etc., etc. Now, that might bring out remedies like pulsatilla or natmure or ignatia. So I'm not treating asthma. I'm treating the cause of the asthma, right? So when we say, so if you want to narrow it down even easier to three words, what ails you? What's wrong? How long have you had it? Then this is the important question. What was going in your life around that time when you first became aware of it, when that happened? That allows us to take our emphasis off, as Cristin just said, I'm not treating your condition. I'm helping you support your body, which led to that condition being diagnosed.
So
And however you define it. So thank you for that, Cristin. I'm very grateful for that. You did it in a very succinct manner, but that's your teaching experience there. Thank you. Next one.
yeah, so I love that because we've kind of been like had a lot of teaching about treating symptoms, which has a place, right? What is the phrase? Like if you don't have time to take the case, what's your Somism?
Somism is therapeutics has a place when you cannot take the case.
Yes, so therapeutics in the CPH world is treating the symptoms, right? So the therapeutics have a place when you cannot take the case.
Right.
So, but there are some other I don't want to take up too much time. We're already starting to go a little bit long, and we have a couple other questions.
Okay.
One is the costs of the different plans, and like, are there payment plans available? And can you kind of speak into cost
Yes.
differences in the different tracks and
Okay.
payments and how
Yes.
that is approached?
Without mentioning money right now, because I want to say something towards the end of this talk. There are 3 payment plans. You can pay upfront all in one go, which is a heavily discounted pay. Okay, pay upfront for the full course. You can pay by monthly direct debit. We call it a standing order. Pay a little bit each month. That costs a little bit more in admin fees. And then the third one, for people whose income is variable and fluctuating, you have a pay as you go. You're literally purchasing a module at a time. And you may do that every couple of months or whatever as your finances allow. Okay. So there are 3 main ways on both courses. Most people pay up front. Some people pay monthly because it helps to fix their cash flow. It all depends on the person. Other people who are variable, changing houses, etc., will pay on a pay-as-you-go. Very few, about 5 or 10%. Now, so that's that. And I am going to say today, and I'll say it again towards the end for the people, because after an hour, they will lose the emphasis. But when we send it out, Ellen and I, in the spirit of Thanksgiving, which is imminent, are pleased to offer for people who want to enroll, and this is for anybody in the world, not just the 10 or 17 people we have here today, a 10% discount off the fee if they enroll before the end of November. That takes us into this whole Thanksgiving, Halloween period. It's our way of saying thanks to all the people that have enrolled with us from the past to enable us to be in a position to offer this now. But that's finite and it ends on the 30th of November, okay? I'll say that again later on, and our web person will give a mail shot to people should they want to take advantage of that offer. That applies to the paid in full fee and the 10 payments monthly fee. It does not apply to the pay as you go, because literally you're paying as you're going. So that sometimes helps people when they sort the finances, sometimes it doesn't, but it's our way of saying thank you. And we'd like to offer that again, okay? So that's just separate on the course. The fee structure, that'll be, if you want the information pack, I will tell you, it's normally about roughly, and I'll say this at the top end, about £4,000 or £5,000, British pounds, roughly translates to about $5,500 to $6,000 per level of the 3-level course, because that's like a 3-year degree course, okay? Still a significant discount to prices of courses in America which don't even come near this course. I can say that with all the, well, it's true. They can't touch it, right? The postgrad course is between £5,250 to £6,000, depending on the method of payment. So that's about $6,000 to $7,000. Probably half of what people are paying for any other course that you may or may not be on already. So it's very affordable. And why? Because we said right back at our mission and vision and values was to make this level of homeopathy affordable. So most people say, I want to become a master homeopath at this level. We don't want the price to be restrictive in people's learning journey. Yes, I know. If I put my commercial on, we can even double our fees easily. So it's probably the best investment you'll ever make into your and your family's career and your professional, because after that you don't pay a penny. Because once you're in, like we said, it's an entrance fee. There's no other top-up fees. So imagine that for a lifelong education this way, and it'll take you beyond any specialist you'll know what you will learn, homeopathically or allopathically. This is just a start. Imagine doing this for a few years. You'll feel so empowered. You'll say, just bring all the patients. You may even open practices around the world. That's your choice if you so desire. Okay, next question.
So I wanted to add too that I think it's helpful information that I loved learning was that like not only can you start taking on more clients, but like CPH has its own clinic where people from the community seek help. And so they can either choose to seek a already graduated homeopath, and correct me if I'm wrong, Som, but this is my interpretation. But then they can also say, yes, I'm willing to have a student who's learning and who's supervised to take my case. And then there's opportunities, if you feel prepared and ready, then you can volunteer to start taking people's cases as well. Is that an accurate representation?
Yes, it is, Ashley. Thank you. Yes, we have on our website, we have get treated by a student homeopath, a link, and we have a link on a page saying get treated by a professional homeopath. And as you've seen, Ashley, in the last few weeks, we have so many USA patients approach us and say, I need a US-based homeopath to treat me, a student homeopath. They take the case, but because they've come through CPH, you don't get sued because we're the ones that are helping them, right? And because we oversee your case, you can practice within that remit easily. So that takes a lot of all that fear out straight away. Does that make sense? Because they've approached CPH. So we say your student is here, but it's overseen by us to supervise it. And that's why we supervise our cases. It takes the litigation off. The responsibility is ours. You take the case, you analyze it with your supervisor, and then we come to a prescription. That builds your confidence. So even if you're a few modules in, you say, Som, I don't know what I'm doing. Well, we do. And we will guide you. And that will really expedite your learning. And at the same time, once you graduate, you build such a great relationship with that client, they may refer their friends and family, or they'll say, I want you to treat me when you qualify. So it helps to build your business and your reputation. No other college offers students the ability to build their own business that way. They just take your money, give you a protocol to follow and say, off you go. And then you're left to your own devices. But what do you do when the protocol doesn't work? Because the client's energy is shifted, or you can't get to the root cause, then you're stuck. So everything has a limitation. The more empowered you are, the more tools in your toolbox you have, the more competently and confidently you can help your clients.
Does anybody else have any other questions? I know we've talked about a lot of things, but I want to give it like, there's no, if you want to type it in the box, that's fine. I'll read it for you, but you can send it to me directly. Okay, so question, as APH grads, we imagine we can go right to the post-grad level. Have you found that to be generally good and successful route? Like, does that seem to be very successful for a lot of people, or what are you seeing with that, Som?
Well, why don't we let Cristin answer that, because she's done exactly that route. Cristin?
Yes, I felt very prepared. I went right into, the post-grad, and really felt very prepared. I mean, the beautiful thing about CPH is that you have a tutor. So if there's any confusion or question or whatever, you reach out to your tutor, and one-on-one, they help you clear up any confusion that you have about the material. So I did not have any issue. I mean, I knew coming in, I was weak on the anatomy and physiology. And so I just worked on my own on the places that I felt weak when I got to those modules to go and do some more investigating. I mean, like I can go look what the heart does. Like, I don't need to go a 3-year course. I know basically what it does, but if there were some components of a different, the heart system that I didn't understand, I could spend some time on my own to really understand that, to be able to apply the CPH principles. So that's how I handled it. And I felt very prepared.
Good. Thank you for that. Yeah, we don't need you to be anatomists or physiologists. You'll touch on it, and your cases will teach you what you need to learn. It will fill in your gaps. If you have a heart patient, you will study the heart, but you'll integrate the anatomy, physiology, allopathy, and the homeopathy with it. If you have a liver disease patient or client, you'll discuss that, and you learn about all the liver conditions you see. So by learning it holistically. You don't do an A&P course and then go and treat people, because then you've forgotten the course you've done, because it's not related to on a case by case. So, but by doing case after case after case, your knowledge will increase with every single case. It's the cases that make you, not the actually it's the cases that make you, not the course. So there's not a course in anatomy. There's not a course in that. They're part of the same course. They're integrated at that module, and then you build upon it, and then we will talk about it. You may research it. I may direct you and say, look, there's a great link here. Watch this on how the hypothalamus works. And you're like, oh my goodness, I've learned something else. And once you understand how the adrenals work, you'll understand it at a level that even doctors, they don't understand adrenals at all. Half of them barely even acknowledge the concept of adrenal fatigue. Adrenal fatigue, long term, leads to chronic fatigue. Chronic fatigue wears us down, debilitates us, weakens our muscle. Then we get diagnosed with fibromyalgia, which they tell us there's no cure for. We've reversed so many of these and helped them back to health. We've even taken people from stage 5 kidney failure back to stage 2. Stage 5 means dialysis and death. Because we didn't treat the kidney failure, we treat the cause. So we're not chasing symptoms. If you chase symptoms, you're not thinking, you're just collecting and trying to rep, or just not even repping, saying, this is for these symptoms. But what if that person's cause is different and it doesn't work for them? You get stuck.
Well, another thing I wanted to add about the CPH coursework is the beautiful thing is, you're sent the different modules, you download them, they're saved on your computer. So for me, I'm a former English teacher and I print everything out. So I printed each of the modules. It's yours forever to keep. It's not like behind any kind of password protected thing. They send it to you. It's yours. It's on my computer forever. I printed it out. And then what I did is, as the different clinics, as we do the clinics, and maybe there's a case on there's a kidney issue. Well, I get out my module on kidneys and I'm taking notes so I can remember what they talked about in the case. So it's the practical application. So I'm going back to my CPH coursework and I'm writing in exactly what I want to know in practical time, so that when I go back, I can remember, oh yeah, we talked about this specific issue or this specific body system in this clinic. And this is what we learned. Because another thing about these clinics is, just like Som right here, this is a Q&A and he is teaching you guys. He and Ellen do the same thing in the CPH clinics. We go through cases, but they take the opportunity then to also do some teaching as well. So it really is a beautiful system that CPH has. And even after you graduate, you have access to every CPH clinic, every module. You have access forever. So when there's a CPH clinic, you log in on the Zoom clinic, and then Som will post the link from the recording in the Ohana group, which is on WhatsApp. And then you have access as a graduate. You have an access to Ohana forever.
Yes.
So it's really lovely. Lots of benefits.
Yeah, so that was
money
the
you
question. I'm glad you addressed that, Cristin, because that was a question about, once you download it, it's yours. Like, you can go back, review it as much. It's on your computer. You can print it out if you want to keep it on a separate drive. Like, it's yours. So like, it's yours forever. So it's so good to be able to review. And then it helps me to see it and to hear it. And so like, for me, like a lot of the readings, like I open them into an app that's like talk to text. And so then it reads it to me, and then I can go back and read it, but also I can listen to it when I'm driving around or getting ready or cleaning the kitchen or, whatever. So you can choose your way of learning. And then you can go back and review it and take your notes. And so it's really nice to be able to just go back and reference it over and over again.
And one thing I will say about Som and Ellen. So Ellen is the founder, and what is her title? Founder and director?
She's the founder and director, yep.
Okay. And so Som and Ellen are the ones that lead these clinics oftentimes. And the beautiful thing is I know you'll never say this about yourself, Som, so that's why I'm saying it, is their humility. They never feel like they're above learning from us. And they will say that all the time. Ellen has been doing this for how many years? 30 something years?
30 years.
And she says our patients, our clients are our best teachers, and our students are our teachers. And so it's never a holier than thou attitude. It's what can we learn from each other, which is the beautiful part about the community. And Som will often say, I mean, we had a tutoring session one time and I told him something. He's like, oh my gosh, I never knew that. Thank you so much. And then the very next clinic, he was like, Cristin taught me something in our tutoring session the other day. And so it's very refreshing to be able to work with colleagues who appreciate that they, even as the director and the president of the college, are still students. They're still learning. So I just wanted to put that in too.
Thank you, Cristin. We do. We're all learning together. We're all colleagues. That's the first thing, okay? With greater or lesser experience. That's the only thing that differentiates us and how we apply it. Well, I learned yesterday, we had some great cases, and we did one for hysteria. We had a rubric. And I learned that Ignatia is one of the strongest indicated remedies for hysteria, hysterical behavior. So every time we do the rep work, it draws out a remedy and a rubric, and we learn something about the remedy deeper. So if I'm better and better at my rep work, I do not need to be a walking materia medica textbook. I think, I analyze, I repertorize, and then the rep work leads me to the remedy. And every case will teach me something, a different aspect of that same remedy. Because our graduates here, every one of them done it, Christian's done it, they create their own materia medica and they create their own book of therapeutics. And if you print it, you become a published author. So therefore, we don't do hero worship. So if you want to create your own materia medica, easy to do, by the way, don't be frightened by that. We teach so many remedies, you'll do them. And when you have your therapeutics, because it has a place when you can't take the case, you're never at a loss for something to do, which is why we say, meet them where they're at, treat them where they're at, and then go deeper, if you can. Sometimes people just say, I need help here. And then you say, this may help you now, but to get to the root cause, we need to book in an appointment. And so they all have their places. And people, you've heard it yourself, you've done it yourself. Oh, this worked for a while, then it came back. It's going to, because I haven't got to the root cause, but it worked for a while, you know? So we get this all the time. But the whole point is to get the vital force to a state where it doesn't come back. That's when the healing begins, because the body remembers its own power and says, I've been here before. I don't need to do this anymore. Oh, that's the Somism. I've been here before. Don't need to do it anymore. And then it's the Somism, they invent, once we're in a flow, the flow creates itself. And then they're actually healed. They won't say cured, but they know, hang on, you know that condition I've had for 20 years, the hay fever, the seasonal, I don't have it anymore since I took your remedies. Good, because we took them on a journey and we stabilized the body and the body rebalanced itself, homeostasis. So that's our job, to restore healing in a gentle, effective manner, an efficient manner. That's Hahnemann's principles. Next question.
All right, anybody else? I know we're getting ready to wrap up, so I just want to give you one couple more minutes to be able to get your questions in. Not seeing any yet.
I have a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead, Wendy.
I posted on the chat, just real quick, the modules, when they're downloaded, do they run independent of the internet? It's like if you know, I'm thinking way out in the future, if the grid goes down, stuff happens and we can't use the internet, can I run them?
Yeah, that's what Chris and I were addressing. Yes, once you download them, they're yours. Like, they're not connected. So if they're on your computer, they're on your computer and you can access them at any time.
They're
So
just a PDF document. Yeah, you download them as a PDF. So as long as you have a PDF reader, they're yours forever and they do not need the internet. So just a regular PDF document.
Okay, so I need a battery backup with a flashlight and maybe in a corner
well, you can
somewhere.
print them. You can print them.
Carry a book around with you.
Yeah.
Don't worry, Wendy. The internet's not going to go down.
Well, we've got an upcoming election. You know how that goes.
Yeah, that's all right. But you know what? As Christian just said, you have them, you own them. If you don't own them, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people around the world who have them. You may have an election, but we are fine just here. Okay.
Okay. I'm not afraid. Trust me.
That's a valid
thinking.
question, because sometimes you have to be logged on to read. It's not read. You download it to yourself, so you physically have it with you.
Right.
So it's not only accessible by a link. You click the link, you download it. It's on yours wherever you go.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
On a pen drive or printed. There you go. Cristin showing you what she's done there. Look, if you look at her screen.
Okay, great.
I did the same when I graduated. I was a student here. I did the PG Docs course. I printed out every module. And like Cristin, mine's annotated, scribbled over notes and things. It's not a
Yeah.
read it once and put it away. It's read it, and reread it, and reread it, and reread it. Why? Because the scariest time is when you graduate. Then you're left on your own because
Right.
you go. And they talked about the clinic, and with our clinics that are held twice a month virtually and once a month in London, so that every week, every 10 days, you've got a clinic, right? Even graduates can present their cases because we know they need the help because they don't have the tuition there because the course has ended. So just when you're flying solo, you can present back. Why? Why do we enable that? Because we say, share your learnings with us all. We're all in it together. We learn together. We grow together. We have some experience to share. You guys have things to share. And that is that virtuous circle, you know?
Right. Thank you so much. Thanks for your time today too.
No problem. If you have other questions separately, like I said, you have an email, som@thecph.co.uk. You have my cell phone number, WhatsApp, or message me directly. Feel free. You
Okay.
know, we're not
Thanks.
just here in the UK. I'll be over stateside soon, very soon, early next year. We'll have 2 or 3. And I think if Cristin allows us, we'll have our annual Galveston gathering there. And with more of you Texans there, it's a pretty easy state to get to, even from the UK. Cristin, no pressure. Let's make it happen next year. But, you know, I'm there every couple of months going forward now again, God willing, right?
Yeah,
But
so I don't
never
think we
far from it.
mentioned that, but we do have in-person meet and teaches about what, 2 or 3 times a year?
Yeah, every couple of months. I had an illness myself I had to overcome a few months ago, some challenges. That put a stop to the momentum. But you're right, every 3 or 4 months we'll be back stateside for a 3 or 4 day meet and teach event, a gathering.
You can either be go in person, or you can buy an online kind of ticket, so to speak, so you can have online access. But they have to kind of do it different ways. But it's just a download of information that then you can save it and rewatch it at your leisure. And so it's amazing. It's again, it's just so many resources, right, that are available to you to learn as you have time. And it's just a wealth of information.
People bond, they connect, friendships are formed internationally, and their cases get discussed. But sometimes we'll just shoot the breeze over a meal or a cup of tea or a coffee, and conversation will just take. And there's so much learning to be had all the time. Last couple of ones that I did, I had a microphone clipped onto me all the time. So even if I'm having dinner, we're just hanging out, 10 or 15 of us around a table, and discussions get taken. And that is only for the people in attendance, you see, because that's our private consultations and conversations, and there's so much learning to be had, so much, and it just makes it fun. So it's a fun place to be. Hopefully you think we're down to earth and approachable. We're just keen to share what we know with as many people as we can to help them grow. Another songism. There you go. But this doesn't stop, does it?
Oh, it says come to Fort Worth. We got to go to Dallas, Dallas area.
But you know, that's why I'm so pleased. You know, we had Cristin, we have Sarah here. We've got this. They're the first wave. They were the pioneers of CPH in the USA. They helped us. They brought many people on board, which is why they're spearheading the tuition and approach. They know where you are, they know where we're at, and they know what they're doing with it. So this is just the start of something even bigger. So again,
I'm seeing a lot of people here in the North Carolina, Virginia kind of corridor here. So I'm thinking we might need to have something over here too.
no, we're already planning that. We were looking at one for Rhode Island. We were looking at one for Georgia before the Milton did its stuff, you know. So that will still be on the cards probably later on in the year. It was supposed to be this month. People are looking at Tennessee. We'll go to any state, and now I've got Kentucky on my brain now because I've not been there. You never know, right? But we're going to have a separate group, and we will put the schedule out. So if you're part of CPH, you'll be welcome. Share the growth. You'll come back refreshed and energized. You will have a totally different take on homeopathy, and you will look back at other homeopaths saying, "I can't believe they did this." Now I'm going to bring back the loop. Many of you, if not all of you, are APH. So sometimes if your cup is full of one system, we have to undo a bit of that learning. That's just being straight, right? So that's to manage your expectation. Like, oh my goodness, I've got to undo this way because I'm stuck in this paradigm. Yes, you are. It doesn't mean anything. It means first undo it, empty it, fill it up with what you've done here. Then you might want to add that back. You won't, but you might want to, right? To learn what you've learned. Because once you fill up with the good stuff, you can hang on. You know, when I did my high school and my university, I did not read my kindergarten books anymore. I will say that with tongue in cheek, but you get the idea. We're going to empower you with so many different ways to learn. And then you're going to teach us back. So the teacher becomes a student, because there's all this pool of knowledge that's out there. All we got to do is unlock it, let you express it, and freely Explore homeopathy. You're going to touch potencies that you might be afraid of. LMs, CMs, 50Ms, all the fun stuff, Qs. So enjoy this world of homeopathy. It's just energy. Never killed anybody. There are no side effects. Do not fear. You learn how to overcome aggravations and return of old symptoms. They're not something to be feared. They're something to be celebrated. Oh, I've had this 20 years ago, and since you've treated me, it's all come back. Good. That's a mile marker. We're now on the journey towards health. What Herring calls the law of cure. I've had an aggravation. Okay. So I've asked your body to do what it's not yet ready to do. The analogy for me, if I'm on a treadmill and I'm jogging and someone ramps up the incline and puts it at 20 miles an hour, I'm going to be aggravated. I'm not going to run that fast, right? So all I've done is ask the body to do what it's not yet ready. So you pull back. Do not fear the feedback mechanisms of the body. Study it. Be a listener. As we saw on the slide, disease is the dialogue. Symptoms are the signs. Are we listening or are we suppressing it and telling it to shut up? So in that mindset, I never want to stop a symptom. I say, I hear you, but I hear why you're reaching out to me because this is going on over here. Therefore, I don't care about your allopathic diagnosis anymore. Does that wrap up this whole conversation quite nicely? Because all the allopaths think about the body screaming here, symptoms, symptoms, symptoms. Doctors love to invent a new collection of symptoms, so they immortalize themselves. Hashimoto's thyroiditis, ooh, lovely name, named after Dr. Hashimoto. There's a Hodgkin's lymphoma and a non-Hodgkin's. If I'm not Dr. Hodgkin's, I'm going to call it non-Hodgkin's, quite naturally, right? There's autism, then there's ADHD, then there's Asperger, then there's a spectrum. The only difference is one little symptom that's included or excluded. Parkinson's, named after Dr. Parkinson. Huntington's chorea, named after Dr. Huntington. Isn't that interesting? Hodgkin's lymphoma, non-Hodgkin's, because there's a Reed-Steinberg cell. So two doctors invented something. Let's make it ours. Allopaths love this stuff. The bodies work the same way it always has. So forget the allopathic names. Every month there's a new disease. And you know what the doctors say? This has never been treated before. What they're saying is, we've never heard of it. Or they'll say it's incurable. So what they're saying is, I can't treat it with my system of medicine. My car outside will not get me to Texas, but an aeroplane might. Wrong method of medicine. You see what I mean? So this is the way people speak. Oh, it's a very rare condition. It means we've never heard of it before. Something has caused it, but we don't understand. The body, we understand the dialogue of the body. Then they call it idiosyncratic, which means we have no idea. We're the idiots. We have no idea. Idiopathic. It's a pathology determined by idiots. Then we have an iatrogenic illness, which is, oh my gosh, I've given you a drug and I've given you a disease, but I can't say that because then you'll sue me. So we call it iatrogenic. Then they say, don't worry, this drug is safe. Then all the trials, minimal side effects. Okay, but now I'm going to give it you with another 6 drugs. But no one's done a trial on how them 6 drugs interact. And there's a funny little somism I'll share with you. Everyone takes a prescription drug from the doctor without asking a question. You give them something natural, everybody becomes a researcher. Don't they? Oh, what are you giving me? I better look up this herb. Well, biblically, the fruits of the fruits of the trees are for the healing of the nations. It's always been that way. If it grows out the ground, comes off a tree, eat it, it's going to heal you. And all medicine started off looking at nature. You can't patent nature. So let's look at nature, what it does. Now let's alter nature and make a chemical, which is why I get side effects. I don't see too many sheep with cleft palates. I don't see too many cows with 6 legs. Do you see what I mean? So, but we get co-joint twins and all that. So how come nature doesn't make mistakes? Medicine makes mistakes. It alters our genes. And when you learn about the female hormonal system and we tell you that the birth control pill has 3 generations of knock-on effect, you're like, oh my goodness, I can't wait to study this. So when you start doing the birth control pill detox to sort out a whole cascade of illnesses, you're like, oh my goodness, welcome to the world of CPH. We cover everything, even the taboo subjects we cover.
Yeah,
So
it was so mind-blowing for me when I was learning about the detox. Before I even started my coursework, I was listening to all the lectures and the teachings because I didn't want to start. I needed a break for a little bit. And But then as I was listening to all the lectures and the teachings, I was like, I can't wait because I need all this information, right? Like I want to download it to my brain as fast as possible. But so I'm sorry, Som, I've got to go pick up my kids.
Perfect. So carry this on with emails if you need to. Ashley, I'm so grateful for all you attendees. Please tell others if you can. Remember this discount for Thanksgiving until the end of November. It does apply. Do reach out to me. I am approachable. I will get back to you within 24 hours. Cristin, you're a godsend. We're so grateful you're part of us and that you came from APH. Land up here. Only God knows where you're going to take this in the USA. Thank you all. And to the colleagues that will watch this on YouTube, shame we missed you, but hopefully we'll catch you later. Ashley.
Thank you so much.
Bye,
Thank you.
guys.
Bye.